I've been listening to Dr. Zan very attentively, particularly his emphasis on the fact that in today's world, ideas sell. Ideas. And I was wondering, where do ideas come from? Where do ideas come from? Have you ever wondered, where do ideas come from? Something very basic. Software. What is it? It's ideas. Our neighbors, Indians, they are exporting software worth billions of rupees every year. We are still relying on exporting wheat and rice. And we are finding it extremely difficult these days. It means what matters is, in today's world, ideas sell. He's been giving you extremely important points. Food for thought. We've got to think about it, you know. What is it that we can sell in today's world? Luckily, we have an extremely important brain in Pakistan. His name is Dr. Ataul Rahman. He was chairman of the Higher Education Commission previously. He keeps talking about the fact that today's world is knowledge economy based. What sells nowadays is knowledge. If we want to make our country great, if we want to improve the status of our own family, we have got to acquire knowledge, and this is what Dr. Zan has been trying to hammer home. He's been trying to make you understand this fact. All of us want to be great, individually, on the family level, and on the national level. But what is it that we need to do? We need to enrich our brains. Where shall ideas come from? I keep wondering about this fact that we know ideas, ideas, ideas. What makes people great? And I was also reminded of the fact that Shakespeare, degrees do matter. I agree, sir. Degrees matter in today's world. You cannot go to a good institution and get a job without a degree. Degrees matter. But let me tell you, a few exceptionally gifted souls, they needed no degrees, like Shakespeare. Even our own renowned Maulana Maududi had no degree. He had written a tafsir of the Holy Quran. He had no degree. He was not even a matriculate. Sahir Ludhianvi had no degree. Ghalib had no degree. But these are exceptions. Exceptionally talented people. But they too had to polish their talent. God-given talent, they had to polish it, you know. And what polishes it? Practice, skill. This is what he's been trying to hammer home. Make you realize that you have got to develop your skill. And how do we develop our skills? He has already told you, by doing things. Do things again and again. If you want to write a good essay, practice writing, you know. But ideas, let me talk about that for a while. 2 minutes. Where do ideas come from? Very simple thing. Ideas, people have, great people, you know, they've been thinking about it. Where do ideas come from? Ideas come from books. It means you have got to do a lot of reading. Even now, sometimes people question me, sir, do you have any regrets? I say, yes, I did not read as much as I should have. Knowledge comes from books, but not books alone. You have got to move in this world with your eyes quite open to the phenomena around. Keep observing things. Ideas come from observation. Ideas come from books. You read a book, you don't agree with what the writer has said therein, and you have another idea, and that idea, in due course of time, develops into a book. You become the writer of a book only because you happen to disagree with the contents of that book. Sometimes you agree and you come with further arguments to substantiate the same contention that the writer has put forth. It means that reading stirs your thinking and ideas come from reading. But the second thing, important thing, is observation. And incidentally, observation is common between scientists and artists. Both observe. Artists also observe, scientists also observe. And quite a few of you have been scientists. They are scientists or they are science students. What is the difference? Will anybody be able to tell me? A scientist also observes and an artist also observes. What is the difference? What is the difference between the observation of the two? Do you think? Do you think that somebody could stand up and say, sir, this is the difference? A scientist, he is after identifying truth. Truth. He's trying to find out truth. He's trying to find out reality. And an artist, in addition to be able to identify the truth, he also tries to give you something beautiful. He is more interested in aesthetics. He is more interested in aesthetics. An artist, he is interested in aesthetics. Though many maintain that in the long run, like infinity, if you look far ahead, you have the feeling that maybe the earth and the sky, they seem to meet somewhere. Truth and beauty also meet somewhere. Truth and beauty, they are one and the same. Scientists are also trying to discover the beauty of this universe. They are trying to, still in the process of making this picture complete, but they keep observing. This is what I'm trying to say. One thing common between the scientists and the artists is observation. So ideas, because we are trying to figure out where do ideas come from. If success, necessitates being able to figure out good ideas, where do ideas come from? Ideas come from books, okay. Ideas come from observation, yes. And then ideas come from interaction, through interaction with knowledgeable people, like Dr. Zain, like your teachers, like Mr. Kashif sitting there. Talk to them, discuss your problems with them, discuss your problems with your teachers, talk to more knowledgeable people around in your society. Talk to your teachers, talk to your more knowledgeable friends, more knowledgeable senior members of your families. They will give you ideas. Ideas do not all the time come from books alone. They come from books, no doubt. They come from observation. They come from interaction. And the most important thing, ideas come from thinking. Ideas come from thinking. I remember once I was in our classroom. The students were taking their exams. Only the 6 of them were there. And I said, well, I'll sit here for 3 hours. I'll get bored. Why shouldn't I write something? I began to write an essay on a topic, and the topic was sycophancy, चापलूसी. अदारों में कुछ लोग होते हैं चापलूसी का काम करते हैं. तो मैंने कहा कि मैं इस टॉपिक के ऊपर क्यों ना लिखूं, sycophancy. And for 3 hours, I kept writing. And at the end of the time, I could come up with only a paragraph or 2. I went home. It was December, the month of December. And at night again, I began to write the same essay, sycophancy. I'm trying to tell you that it took me about 1 or 2 or 3 weeks to complete that essay on sycophancy. I sent it to the newspaper and they published it, sycophancy. But where do ideas come from? Thinking. You have got to compel yourselves to think. This is even what T.S. Eliot says. You have got to compel yourselves to think. So take some time out of your busy schedule every day and think about things. Remember 4 things. Because I simply wanted to, I'm not going to make it an extremely elaborate, boring, long lecture. I want to simply stress 4 points. Read as much as you can. Observe as much as you can. Don't move about in this world with your eyes shut to the beauties of nature around. And think as much as you can, and then interact with the wise people. When you were talking about apples, I was reminded of Bertrand Russell's emphasis on the process of deduction and induction. He says in one of his essays that you go to a fruit shop, you buy an apple, the apple is hard and green, you taste it, it tastes sour. You say, well, it's no good. You try another apple. That apple too is green and hard, and it again turns out to be sour. You try a third apple, and the third apple also, green and hard, turns out to be sour, and you reach a conclusion, and the conclusion is that all hard and green apples are sour. This is induction. Induction. Doing things individually, studying things individually, and then making a generalization. So even ordinary people who do not happen to be university students, in their day-to-day lives, they do practice this induction and deduction. Deduction is from generalization to individual facts. Induction, genuinely scientific method, is inductive method, and that is proceeding from the individual to the general. So this is what you can do if you observe and do things again and again. You have got to keep listening. One thing I emphasize in most of my classes is that you've got to take maximum, I'm going to wind up, be patient just for a minute. You've got to take maximum possible exposure to things, exposure. And in this context, because the purpose is, most of you are interested in improving their written and spoken language, and the solution lies in exposure. Exposure means doing a lot of reading and listening. So practice as much as you can. Writing, if you are interested in improving your writing, practice writing. If you are interested in improving your spoken English, practice speaking. But having done some reading and listening in the first place, keep listening, keep reading, and keep observing. Don't move about in the world with your eyes shut, and keep thinking. When we meet again, I'll elaborate these things. We'll meet again. Thank you very much.
Jazakallah, sir. Thank you very much. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulihil kareem, amma ba'd, fa'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Thank you very much, Dr. Zain, and the doctor of doctors, Mr. Bruce Gill, and the other team members, and particularly the students. उर्दू दीवारी है जो कुछ भी डॉक्टर साहब ने कहा सिर्फ आपकी ज़िंदगियों को बेहतर बनाने के लिए, आपको एक डायरेक्शन देने के लिए, द रीज़न वाई यू आर हियर. और Himalayas College, under the supervision of Mr. Yasir and the other teachers, faculty members, and they have arranged some sort of seminars, inshallah, and we conducting it maybe on Saturdays, inshallah. हम भी सीखेंगे, आप भी सीखेंगे, लेकिन बच्चों सिर्फ आपकी ज़िंदगियों की डायरेक्शंस को ठीक करने के लिए, हम यहाँ पे बिज़नेस करने के लिए नहीं आए हैं, और हमने ये हिमालयस या दूसरे कॉलेजेस पैसा कमाने के लिए नहीं बनाए हैं. ओके हम ये चाहते हैं कि वाकई एजुकेशन सिस्टम ठीक हो और हमारी ज़िंदगियों में आसानियाँ पैदा हों. राइट मैं अपनी बात भी फिर क्या करूँगा, टाइम कम है. सिर्फ डॉक्टर साहब की बात, और मैं गिल साहब को भी डॉक्टर ही कहूँगा क्योंकि वो डॉक्टर से कम नहीं है. उन्होंने जो कुछ भी कहा, आवर कुरान encompasses everything, alhamdulillah. It says, कुल सीरु फिल अर्द, तुम इस दुनिया में फिरते टुरते क्यों नहीं हो, किस लिए फिरना टुरना है, why this world, has been made or created. پھر اللہ فرماتے ہیں افلا ینظرون الی الابل کیف خلقت, کہ تم دیکھتے کیوں نہیں ہیں کہ اللہ تعالیٰ نے یہ آسمان اور زمین کیوں بنائے. وَإِلَى الْأَرْضِ كَيْفَ سُطِحَتْ, زمین کیسے بنائی, آسمان کیسے بنائے. اور پھر اینڈ پہ جو سر نے بات کی کہ آئیڈیاز آتے ہیں سوچنے سے, تو پھر قرآن کہتا ہے افلا یتدبرون, تم فکر کیوں نہیں کرتے, تم سوچتے کیوں نہیں. تو یہ جو سوچنے کا عمل ہے یہ سب سے اہم ہے. اقبال کہتا ہے نا اپنے من میں ڈوب کے پاجا سراغ زندگی, کیچ یور سیلف ان اے روم. اور یہی پروفٹس کیا کرتے تھے. یو ریمبر نبی پاک صلی اللہ علیہ وسلم یوز ٹو گو ٹو ہیرا, کیو ہیرا, کس لیے؟ ٹو تھنک. افلا یتدبرون, وہاں پہ سوچنے کے لیے جاتے تھے. وائی ایم ہیئر, کہ میں یہاں پر کیوں ہوں, میرا مقصد کیا ہے, پرپس کیا ہے. اسی لیے بچوں, ڈاکٹر صاحب نے کہا اسکلز کے بارے میں بتایا, نالج کے بارے میں, ڈگریز کے بارے میں بتایا. یہ ساری چیزیں اس لیے ہمیں ضروری ہیں کہ ہم اپنی زندگی میں کیا کریں, آسانیاں پیدا کریں. آلویز ریممبر کہ ہم پڑھتے اس لیے ہیں, اسکول کالج اس لیے جاتے ہیں, کماتے اس لیے ہیں تاکہ ہماری زندگیوں میں آسانیاں, اور ایسا کام کرنے سے جس میں ہماری زندگی میں آسانیاں نہ آئیں تو پھر اس کا فائدہ کیا. دا مور یو اسٹڈی دا مور ورڈ یو آر, کہ جتنا جتنا پڑھتے جاتے ہیں, جتنا جتنا پیسہ آتا ہے, ہمیں تو خوشی ہونی چاہیے. دا مور منی یو ہیو دا مور ورڈ یو آر, جتنا پیسہ ہے اتنے ہی آپ فکر مند ہیں. سو لیٹ اس میک آور لائفز کمفرٹیبل اینڈ خوشی. ٹھیک ہے, ان کی باتوں پہ عمل کیجئے. ہم اور ڈاکٹر صاحب زیادہ, گل صاحب بھی زیادہ پڑھاتے نہیں ہیں, ہم نے آپ کو ایک ڈائریکشن دینی, بیکاز وی آر یوزنگ یور پاور. آپ کی جو انرجی ہے وہ ہم استعمال کر رہے ہیں. اس لیے اب اپنے آپ سے پرومس کریں, اپنے والدین سے پرومس کریں کہ آپ کے اندر جو ایک طاقت اللہ تعالیٰ نے دی ہے نا, اس کو صحیح ڈائریکشن دینی ہے. ڈونٹ ویسٹ یور ٹائم, اپنا وقت ضائع نہ کریں. اوکے, we shall see you inshallah next time. Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi, and thank you very much all the literati. Jazakallah khair, Dr. Sahab. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi, and the cameraman Mr. Yasir and the other team members. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.